Okay, yeah. Couple announcements before I go into the text. So your test is coming up, and I would suggest you already start to answer the question on the Upanishads, right? The question is already, you already have a question you can do based on the Upanishads. Remember the test questions are in your syllabus. So we have 2 test questions that you got to do at home, entirely based on your notes, nothing else, right? I don't want to see any other voice but mine. Certainly not an online voice, right?
Anything as long as it's from class, right?
What?
We can use anything as long as it's from one.
Exactly. Only stuff from the class. Don't go doing research, going online. Just whatever you wrote down in your notes goes in the test. That's the best way to function, right? The goal of the test is for me to make sure you're taking good notes. That's the only goal of the test. It's not to test your intelligence or anything like that, right? Yeah.
So is it just like a response that we can work on?
No, based on the lecture.
Oh yeah, I know, but like we do it in class.
No, you'll do it at home based on your notes and so forth. So you can already start. So the test is, each question is 1 page single spaced. So with supporting quotes. Okay, so you can start already working on the question of the Upanishads, the distinction between joy and pleasure, right? In the Upanishads, boom, you write me a whole page, single spaced, supporting quotes, and you're good. You're good to go. And then you'll do the same thing for the Tao Te Ching, which is coming up. And then the test is due in a couple of weeks, I think, something like that.
Supporting quotes from the class?
From the book. That's it. Yes. So whatever quotes I talked about, boom, they go in here. Okay, any questions about the test? You can also start thinking about your essay. The essay, remember, is your happiness journey. So I want to hear about you. Where are you at? Are you happy? Are you depressed? Are you in the middle? Are you numb? Right? And then is there anything in what we studied, right, the last few weeks that, you know, got you excited or got you angry? Any emotional response, right, to the text we've done? It could be negative or positive emotional response. And you write me about that. Basically, the text, remember, I mean for them to be your spiritual guides, your guides on this journey to happiness. So see if there's anything that you learned that you're like, oh, this is helping me, this is opening something up, I needed to hear this or whatever, and then you tell me about it. The same thing, same day as the test. Yeah, yeah. And that's 1.5 pages, single space. So you give me 50% your story and 50% what you discovered in the text that really applies to you. Any questions on that? Okay, and that's, you print it out, you bring it on the day that it's due, and we're all set. Okay. Second thing, if you miss a lecture, you can find those lectures in my YouTube channel under PHIL 145. That is the particular class I taught this before, PHIL 145. So if you miss anything, you can always go there. Cool. And finally, don't forget our event next week, right? Wednesday, 3 hour, this amazing encounter with this amazing man, this Palestinian man who has somehow reconciled himself with the idea of Israel. It's a miracle. Yes. So please show up to that if you want to get some extra credit. If you bring someone, you get extra credit. Anybody thinking they can bring someone to that? I'm trying to fill the room, so I'll go through whatever lengths I will do this. So yes, and raise your hand if you can bring someone you think. Okay, great, awesome. So you get extra credit, huh?
It's like, you bring like the same friend.
No, you can't share with friends. You got to bring 2 friends. Got it. Good. Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, great. All right, let's get into text. So just a few words on the Qigong we just did. I was thinking about it. I'm not supposed to be thinking about anything while I'm doing it, but I was thinking that Qigong really what it's doing, right? When you do it every day, when you will notice you'll start to your bloodstream will flow better. It's the goal of the Qigong, physically speaking, right? If you want to look just as the biology of your body, it gets your blood flowing. It gets your energy flowing, you could say that, right? So if you do it every day, you don't need acupuncture. You won't get sick, in fact, right? Because sickness in the Chinese medicine is when there's a block. When there's a block, and also in Western medicine, right? When there's something is clogged up, the arteries are clogged up, the cancer is a clog, right here. So if you do this every day, this is a kind of acupuncture, right? Natural acupuncture you're doing on yourself, right? Which is keeping your body moving, your bloodstream is moving. And this is gonna keep away a lot of illnesses because you're not only allowing your blood to move, but your emotions are moving, right? I remember doing this practice with my mom, who was very pissed at my dad. And so I could not, like, she was so pissed. And I'm like, come on, let's go do some Qigong, right? And we did just 20 minutes of the same thing we just did. At the end, she's like, oh, I feel so much better. That's unbelievable, right? That her whole emotions shifted, right? Because anytime you have anger or you have depression, it's a block. It's an emotion clumped up together like this. So the Qigong actually also releases your emotions. So it keeps you also healthy psychologically, and anyways also physically, because we know that a lot of the psychological blockages that we have translate into physical blockages and into illness. So the Qigong is really a way to keep yourself free of blocks, right? And when you do that, of course, when you're flowing, then if you want to look at it now metaphysically, then the energy of the universe is flowing through you at the same time, right? When we're open flowing, that is when we can receive the energy of the universe. So remember, we're talking about Qi. Remember, we talked about this notion of Qi with inexistent chalk. There's a tiny piece. Something has to be done about this. Chalk bits. Okay, the Qi, remember, is a life force within me, but Qi is also outside, right? And so when you're flowing, when your life force is flowing within you, it's also becoming open onto the Qi of the universe. So you're receiving this life force from the outside also as you're practicing this. So you're increasing your energy. So two things are happening with Qigong. You can write this down just for yourself. Number one, you're unblocking your energy. You're unblocking your body and your emotions. And number two, because of that, you're receiving the Qi of nature, and therefore you're reaching a higher level of energy yourself. You become a conduit, you become a vessel for that energy, right? Make sense? Any questions on the, yeah.
You said do it every day, but in a previous class you also said you can even do it once a week, and the breaks are important as well.
Oh, you mean breaks in terms of?
Like the rest periods.
Oh, this is rest. See, the beauty with Qigong, why you can do it every day, is that it's a perfect balance between activity and rest. So in itself, it's a balancing activity. If it's right, you don't want to do too much activity, too much rest, but this is both. So you can do it all day long and it's not going to put you out of balance. You see what I mean?
I gotcha. I just said something in one of the last classes about how like they can get a lot of benefit from it, like spiritual teachers or whatever, from just doing it once a week or whatever.
Yeah, some people, of course, yeah. I mean, you do you, right? I don't do it every day either. I alternate with yoga, and sometimes I do nothing. But ideally, right, you have every day some kind of practice, whether it's yoga or Qigong, where your bloodstream is moving. It's not enough to exercise, because this tenses up your muscles. So, right, you're not flowing so well. So you have to have that moment of relaxation where everything gets flowing again, right? Yeah.
Sorry, I just missed it. Can you just repeat the part about Qi and Qigong and the universe and energy and
Yes.
stuff like
So
that?
two things that Qigong will achieve: it will unblock your energy, so your blood will flow, your emotions will flow, and this is the key to health in Chinese medicine, right? And the second thing is, as you're unblocking, you're becoming a conduit, you're becoming a vessel for the energy, the Qi of nature. So you're in fact receiving more Qi. That's why Qigong should be practiced outside, never inside. Otherwise you receive the Qi of this disgusting classroom with all the mold and everything, right? You're gonna come out more tired than anything in your life. If you do the Qigong inside, you're gonna leave more drained, right? The Qigong always outside, even if it's cold, you're doing the Qigong. When it gets colder, we will do some more vigorous Qigong. We'll do some forms called the tiger form, which are very vigorous, and I'll introduce you to those. So the Qigong should always be done outside, because the goal of the Qigong is connecting to the energy of the universe, to the energy of nature. That's how you get a fill of energy, right? The reason we're so tired all the time is that we're inside all the time, right? With closed windows. So this is I'm opening them for you. So that's the problem, right? No wonder we're tired all the time. We're always locked up inside with we are not connecting to the Qi of the universe. And then you go out to the ocean or you go out to the mountain, you become a different person, because and the Qigong really opens you up to receive more of that energy. Make sense? Okay, good. So now we're going to see the same thing here in the Tao Te Ching with regards to attitude towards life. We're going to look at blocks also. And I'm going to focus on that a little bit today in our poem number 2. Great. So we're going to look at how we sometimes become existentially blocked, right? We talked about two blocks already. We talked about the block of the blood, of the physical, of the organs. We talked about emotional block. Now there's a kind of existential block that we have to learn to open up so we can flow with the Tao. Remember, the goal of the Tao Te Ching, very simple, is how to make us more like this, more like water. We're too rigid. We're too, this is who I am. I'm not moving. I'm doing what I want. I'm pushing through the universe like rocks, right? No, and in doing so, you never really get into the flow of the universe, right? Which is you never connect to the Tao. So the goal of the Tao Te Ching is to teach us to move from being stone hard to being, right, flexible like water. And as we become more and more like water in our bodies, right, and in our attitude towards life, we will begin to flow more and more with the Tao, right, with this intelligence of the universe. So you see how the Qigong already make you more flowy. You saw the movements are very flowy. Your body gets more flexible. This is helping you in this new attitude towards the world, right? We are taught, of course, we come from, as the West, we are founded in the Roman institutions, right? And Rome was well known for its, the army was with iron, right? The most important figure was the gladiator, right? Who was, like this, defending, hitting, right? We come from the Roman tradition, right? We can't help it. All our institutions are Roman. So now we got to learn to be more Eastern, right? And this is not the gladiator stance, the aggressive, ironclad stance. It's the more, right? Like you said, the martial arts where you, right? The person hits and woo, you move back and then bah, you get them back in that way, right? So it's a very different approach to life. So let's go to point number 2. Let's see what there is there today. I'm going to focus, of course, on the two texts. I'm going to 2 lines, and we'll get there in a bit. I'm going to focus on things arise and she lets them come, things disappear and she lets them go. Right? This is the attitude. This is the way to get rid of the existential block. Right? But let's go first to the beginning. I'm on page, I don't know, 2. Number 2, poem number 2. There's one poem and then a second one. So wherever you are, it's the second poem. And this is a slightly different translation, right? So you might not recognize if you have a different translation. Okay, so I begin to read. When people see some things as beautiful, other things become ugly. When people see some things as good, other things become bad. All right, let's stop on that. Let's see what he means by that. He's addressing here Confucius. Now, based on what I told you last time about Confucius, what's he criticizing? What's his point? What can you make out of this? What's the meaning of this? What's he saying? Anybody able to decipher? Okay, absolutely. For Confucius, there's only one beautiful behavior. And if it's not that behavior, it's ugly. There's only one right way of doing things. And if you're not doing that in this way, you're wrong, right? So Lao Tse is saying, nothing is beautiful, nothing is ugly, right? As soon as we start to say this is good, immediately bad arises, right? This, I think he's criticizing here the duality between good and evil. And he's saying we need to come out of that. There is, in fact, no good and evil in the world. All things in the world have their beauty. All situations have their beauty. Whether you're suffering or enjoying yourself, there is beauty in that. So he's trying to move us away from the duality of good and evil. Right? Too many of us are saying, oh, it's raining. Oh, what a terrible day, right? Or I'm suffering. Oh, this is bad, right? Or I'm late. Oh, this is bad too. So we have this way of seeing this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad. And what happens when we live like this? We don't live. Half of our experiences we have shunned. And Lao Tse is saying, no, all experiences, all situations, anything that's happening or not happening, there's a purpose, there's a design, there is something beautiful in that season. Does that make sense? So when we're in the good and evil mode of thinking, half the world becomes shunned, right? Half of our lives become shunned. We are ashamed of half of our lives, right? And Lao Tse is saying, no, there's no good or evil. There is pain and pleasure, of course, but why should one be good and one should be evil? Why? Who decides that pain is bad and pleasure is good, right? Who decides, right? We'll see that here, that difficult is bad and easy is good. That's arbitrary, right? All experiences, we should learn to embrace all of life, including the difficult parts and the easy parts. And then we'll have here the rhythm poem he makes about that, right? So we're going to see this, by the way, in the book of Ecclesiastes, and we're going to see this in Nietzsche very strongly. This is why I picked Nietzsche for this class, because Nietzsche is really a neo-Eastern philosophy, right? He's a kind of, you know how you say, like, he's an Eastern thinker in the body of a Western man, right? So he really thinks very Eastern. We're going to see Nietzsche sound very much like this. So watch this, right? He says, being and non-being create each other. Difficult and easy support each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Before and after follow after each other. So let's stop a little bit, right? Basically saying, let's embrace all of life, right? The Tao is putting us in situations that are sometimes painful, but why should we see them as bad, right? So let's step on that a little bit, right? Difficult and easy support each other. So tell me a little bit, why is he saying that we should embrace our difficult times? What's the lesson? What's he trying to say there? Yes.
You don't experience hardship.
Okay, so on the one hand, right, if you don't know, it's only when you've gone through pain that you really enjoy, right, the reward. How else could we understand this? Yes.
I'm thinking of more like it's supposed to happen, just kind of accept it.
And why should we accept it?
Because life kind of, you don't know what's going
And should we just accept blindly? Is there a deeper reason? That's the question, right? Why should I accept the hard times? Why shouldn't I just try to avoid them? Or when they come, try to shun them like they're not happening? Yes.
because there's a reason for that.
Okay, what is that reason? Tell me.
I mean, me personally,
Yes.
I feel like hardship is
Okay, very good, right? The hardship we go through, the difficulties are opportunities for us to grow if we embrace the hardship. But the problem with us, we flee the hardship. How many of you break up with someone and the next day you're on the apps? Yes? Before even, as you anticipate the breakup, you already, building profiles of different apps. Who's like this? Who's already trying to, yeah, okay, good, right? You're already anticipating the difficulty and trying to work your way out, right? You got plan B ready, right? So most of us, right, we cannot, right? You just went through, right? You just lost your job and the next day you're, I don't know, planning some big party or planning some big trip, not able to really confront the situation, right? Trying to escape it. Most of us, we spend our lives escaping our own lives. It's very sad, right? We spend our lives escaping our lives. Part of our life are these times. And there's a treasure in these times that we miss because we try to escape it. So there is really, in a way, what the text is saying, there is a grace in our painful times. There is a gift in those times that we miss if we don't embrace or welcome those times and allow those times to shape us, right? Yes, so
10 minutes before this one, I also have a problem with legal class, right? And in the class, they often touch on like why is there suffering, why doesn't God just like get rid of it, right? And a lot of the texts of like the writers we were doing class touch on the redeeming qualities of those evils or sufferings, right? Like we can take away afterwards, right? What you can create afterwards. But I was also on the fact that because I noticed one of the writers, I think it was Chisholm, right? He was talking about, well, you have neutral and you have worse than neutral and you have better than neutral. And if in summation, everything is better than neutral, then it means it's a good universe and so on. But I was also thinking like, why is there necessarily worse than neutral in the first place? Because for neutral, I was thinking, it's really boring when you're neutral. You know what I mean?
Isn't though? It's so nice sometimes to be neutral.
Right, but nothing's going on, you know what I mean, fundamentally.
You're a Westerner. You cannot stand the idea of nothing going on.
But in the same sense too, it would also be boring if it's always everything good as well. You know what I mean? So that's why I was saying, like, even when you have like horrible things happening to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's at least interesting.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. That I see a fellow drama lover. So absolutely, right? There is a beauty there that we ought to pluck, right? That we're missing if we always flee from it. So this is one of the lessons of the Tao Te Ching. This is how we create balance, right? When you're always trying to be happy, that's out of balance. When you're always wallowing in despair, that's out of balance too. The key is to receive both, right? Okay, so we have this, some of this, of course, is excellent advice, and we'll see this over and over again in the Stoics. We'll see this in Nietzsche. So a lot of people, I really believe that Greek thought is heavily influenced by Eastern, from Far East, right? Eastern thought. There were some exchanges, right? For sure. So can't avoid this this connection. Yes.
This is very possible that like some of them did black theories that like they had similar ideas, just they never got the chance to like kind of validate or
Could be true too.
like there's always a small chance, especially since there was like the what was it called, like the Silk Road. So like,
Yeah.
the ideas and other things that could be exchanged through that,
Yeah.
and eventually reach the other person. You're not like it might take a long time,
Yeah.
or it might take a master to somebody else's student, but
Yeah.
still certain.
Absolutely. I mean, for sure, we know these ideas precede the Greeks, right? And probably traveled along the Silk Road to Greece, or maybe they got it by themselves by thinking in front of the ocean. That could happen too. I don't know, right? Okay, let's go to the next passage now, because we're going to go to the key point, which is on the test, right? The master acts without doing anything. Okay, let's stop on that. It's another rhythm. It's a paradox. To act without doing. Okay, so now I explained this concept last time. Does anyone remember what it means to act without doing? So you're acting, but it doesn't look like you're acting. You're not really acting. Yes.
You're reacting.
Careful.
Isn't something happening and you're responding? to it?
Responding, yes. Reacting is different because reacting is, I guess it would work. Yeah, of course, I see what you're saying. Yeah, responding. I like.
In some situations, not all, but like responding always works.
Responding, yeah. Reacting would be sometimes to like something like a bad situation comes and you react violently, right? Instead of responding to what is needed. So reacting comes from you. Responding, you're
It's universal.
responding to the thing outside of yourself, whereas reacting is you pushing back, right? It's not about pushing back. It's about, oh, I heard something opened up. There is a direction. I need to walk in that direction, right? Yes.
I kind of take the non-action as well. Something's about to happen, and you kind of are like really focused on interacting with it, so that something changes among you. And time comes, what you should do is kind of like, you let it happen. It was not small, and you're obviously like it's something that's inevitable. Let it happen. Don't necessarily try to like protest and like go against it because it could either make it better or worse. You don't know.
Exactly.
And then instead of automatically thinking about retaliation, take a moment to process and think about the next action.
Very good, right? So you're already on the path, pretty much, right? I'm sensing you're very much into this, right? So we talked about it. We're going to go deeper today, but in a nutshell, you can write down this. This is about not initiating action based on what you think should be done, right? It's about responding to a situation, right? And I got the perfect example when everybody had left the classroom. It's always like this. You know how you're going to come, like you fight with someone, and then when it's like in the evening, you go home and you're like, damn, I should have said this to that person. Like it all comes down really well. This is what happened to me yesterday. We all left the room and I'm like, oh, there's a perfect example. So let me give it to you now. Let me say it again, the definition, right, of acting without, how does he put it? To act without doing, right? The definition is this: instead of acting from your own initiative and your own agendas, right? You decide this needs to happen and then you go and you make it happen. You wait, you listen, what is needed of me? And based on that opening in the universe, you respond, right? So it doesn't mean you do nothing, right? You're in a high degree of attentiveness and you put your energy where there is an opening. You don't put your energy against the wall, right? You realize that, and this is water, by the way. Water, when it finds an obstacle, what does it do? Does it hit against the obstacle? Does it like make big waves and crashes? No, what does water do when it hits an obstacle? Just flows around. This is how we have to be. Let's not put our energy against the wall. If there is a wall, where is the opening? And you flow there, right? So you're acting. So in a way, your action is called forth by the universe. And in that sense, you're not doing anything. You're just flowing easily. Yes.
That's what we just said before about like transparent things happen, like rather than forcing a door open, you just go to whatever doors are.
Exactly, right? So you're not. Now, let me give you an example because I couldn't find a good one last time and it came to me. This works very well in parenting. Okay, which I know none of you are parents, but whatever. It's a good example. So you have a child who's becoming difficult, right? They have like 100 tattoos. They bleach their hair orange, and it's like sitting up as a spike. And now you're like, Mom, what is happening to my child? right? And you're like, they need to change. And then, you're smelling drugs. You're like, what are they doing in that room, right? And so forth. So you are like, they're doing everything in that room, in fact, right? And you know it, right? So now you're like, I have to help my child. So what is what most people will do? What is it that most people will do with a child like that? Yes.
I feel like most parents would try and like prevent it by being harsh. Like for example, if they like do drugs, they would like maybe like storm into the room and like take it all away.
Yes.
Or like if they keep like trying to go and get touchy with something, like they ground them or like keep them in their room.
So you have a lot of experience. Very good. So the average parent gonna go, I'm gonna march you to rehab right now. Come with me. Right, you grab them by the hair, you're dragging them on the road, right? And you're bringing them, and you're gonna throw all the drugs away, and you're gonna punish them if they don't do. By the way, is this gonna work?
No.
No.
Why? I think it's a good, strong position. No, it's not gonna work. Yes.
I mean, it might, it's not for everybody, but maybe for 1 in 10. But
Okay.
realistically speaking, like what I really want to come to is in a scenario like that, a lot of things that I usually learn is rather than always trying to hold on to something and like try to change it, force it in yourself, you kind of let it take its course. So you're
Okay,
actually doing nothing.
So you're getting
And
there.
when
Yes.
the moment happens, like, eventually if it's not meant for them, they will kind of, in a sense, crash against a wall.
Okay, so it's a
And
little, it goes, acting without doing is more than just letting be, right? We're gonna see that. But first, let's see, does it work? Yes, you want to add something, Jack?
I was thinking about like the responsive action. Yes, you're trying to, first you have to listen
Okay,
and understand what
Yes.
is causing the problem.
why are you doing this?
And then you react accordingly. to that.
Okay, excellent. I'm gonna come back to that. Yes.
I just wanted to say that I experienced a situation. My mom raised me certainly because her mother was always suspicious of her, even when, I mean, she was doing some stuff, but when she wasn't, her mother was always suspicious of her, and it made her feel uncomfortable. So when she was raising me and my brother, she always gave us a space for us to choose what to do, and for that reason, we never had a reason to rebel. Like, she always gave us privacy. She always trusted us first before we gave her reason to not trust us.
Okay, good, good,
So stuff like that. I feel
good,
like
good. So, last one, yes.
I think on top of the fact that it makes the child more likely to rebel and do the thing anyway, right? Because they want their freedom more than anything else, right? It's also, even if it does work, quote unquote, right? It still leaves the child more vulnerable because at the end of the day, they're just gonna be afraid of the force of you inflicting on it.
Exactly.
So when you're not around anymore to inflict it,
Right.
you can just do whatever.
Exactly, right? So instead of doing, okay, this has to happen, this is where they need to go, this is how they need to change, and you have the whole agenda and the whole download of what they should be, and then you force it, you, on the contrary, you take a step back and you allow yourself to listen and to make yourself, not even listen, but to be available. Let me be available as a parent to whatever they need from you, right? In other words, you don't even go to their room, you're just there. You don't want to eat with me? Oh, take it to your room, no problem. You're just available, you're there, right? So that you become in tune with what they need from you and not what you need from them. You know how parents come, what I need you to do, right? It's the wrong approach. It should be, what do you need me to do? We need to flip that, right? Versus what I need you to do to what do you need me to do? So we have friends like this that we want to influence, right? I myself was a big, I write epistles to my friends sometimes. If you don't know what an epistle is, it's a letter telling them what everything they're doing wrong and how they should do it better. Like, and I can see it. I have visions of what their life should be, like literally. So I do that, right? And the friends are like, "What the hell? You know, why are you telling me what to do? Who are you?" Right? So that's the thing. That's me going against the flow, right? Here I am now saying, "This is what I need you to do. This is what I see," versus being here. What do you need me to do? And at that moment, in this state of availability, the person will come to you and will invite a certain kind of action. And maybe the action is, just let me be. Maybe the action is listen to me. Maybe the action is, let's figure, I need help, right? But in any case, whatever you're sensing there, this is what you would do. Right? That's action without doing. And it feels that the reason it's called action without doing is that it feels effortless. Anytime you are making an effort, you are not doing this, right? Anytime your action is flowing easily and it's easy to do, you're in the right direction. Anytime you're feeling like I'm fighting this, right? Already you are in the wrong direction, right? So that's the first thing, right? You have already an indication that you're not doing the action without doing when you are stressed, right? I had a difficult child living with me for about 6 months last year. And I have never been this stressed in my whole life. Like I couldn't have a single philosophical thought. I was always thinking of what do I need to tell her? What needs to change around here? And my rules are not being kept, right? I was so stressed. That's the degree to which I was not doing this, right? Anytime you're stressed with someone, you're trying to control. That's the indication. You're trying to control, you're in the state of what I need you to do. The moment you relax, and at one point I finally understood. So I relaxed and I was like, let me just be available. Oh, I felt good. Right? That was like, I was just chilling. Hi, bye. You know, that person was just walking out. Like she didn't care, right? But it was just all of a sudden I was, back to peace, right? And at that moment I knew I have fallen back into what the Tao needs from me, right? So let's go a little further. Now we're gonna have some details. Exactly. So now we're gonna go a little deeper today with what this looks like. And this is where you're going to learn about the blocks. There are two main blocks that we need to liberate in the way we live life so that we can align with the Tao. First one is this. Things arise and she lets them come. Okay, let's stop there. What does it mean that things arise and we let them come? How are we not doing this most of the time? I guess, let's ask that. Yes, Jay.
Change.
Oh, I like that. Yes, change comes and we're like, oh, hell no. I want to stay here, right? So, and what would happen if we were to allow the change to happen? What would happen? What do you think would happen if we were open to?
Less afraid.
And what happens when you allow the change, when you allow that evolution to happen? What happens in your life? Exactly, this is evolution, right? To block the change is to block the evolution. It's like a tree saying, I will grow no more, right? I will stay small. No leaves, no fruit, just branches. But no, right? So I don't want change. To not want change is the equivalent of not wanting life, right? So definitely, right? Many times we block, right? We block what is coming in our lives. Why do we do that? Why do we block what is coming in our lives? Yes.
Because we may not be ready for it.
And why are we not ready for it?
Because it's sudden and we're not expecting it.
Very good. Very often we do not live the life we were meant to live because we have this small blueprint in our brains of how it should be. Right? That's how my life should be. What is this now? This is not according to my plan, right? And so we block, right? And when we block, we are in a way avoiding the intelligence of nature. Whatever comes in our life, the idea in this text is this: whatever is coming in your life, there is a reason. Receive it, right? As soon as we block, we're blocking the designs of nature for us. And the reason we block is we have this small, narrow vision what our lives should look like, right? And so we do never get to the larger picture. We never get to everything we could be because we stuck in this narrow vision. So by the way, Sarkisian was asking last time in private, he was saying, well, what about those people, who push through? They have their vision, they push through, they get what they want to be done, they don't flow, right? And I would argue that, yeah, they get there, but they never get to everything they could have been, right? So yeah, you can have a narrow vision and follow it to the letter and get there. But is it everything you could have been, right? The intelligence of nature is broader than us. It has deeper insights who we are meant to be. That's the idea here. And so if you just follow your narrow agenda, yeah, you can succeed, but you'll never get to everything you could have been, right? This everything you could have been, it implies that you're going to trust that intelligence. It's a leap of faith. You have to trust that intelligence and just flow with it. And then you will get to that much broader destiny than the one you have blueprinted for yourself, right? Yes.
What if somebody goes into a situation where they regret not making a choice or not taking a certain action? So maybe the moment they still do their best to follow along without full stop. But despite that, maybe to the point at which, yeah, I really wish I had.
Yes, very good. Yes, and this is the story of my life. Thank you. Right. How many times I have blocked opportunities? Nature is very generous. There are always new opportunities, right? So at any moment, right, you can turn, you can get back in the flow. It can be at any point of your life, right? And you will get into that flow. So yes, it's true. Many often, we don't listen and we do our own agenda and we miss opportunities and then we're like, damn, right, I should have done this. Right? The nature is so generous. There's always new moments. There's always new opportunities to fall back into the flow, right? So I hope that answers your question a little bit, Sarkisic. Yes.
Most people who get like, say like have in their all the doors.
Yeah, I mean, there's many moments when your desires are perfectly aligned with the Tao, and that's right. It's not right. Most of us have half our desires, half are messed up, right? But many people are very much. There's people who are gifted like that. They are already in tune with the Tao. Their desires already aligned with the Tao. So
They just don't know it.
right, they don't know it. Yeah, they don't have to know. So yeah, some people they flow very quickly because they're already naturally open. They're not controlling people, right? So it's easier for them to flow. Whereas people who are more dominating, more controlling, more alpha characters, then they will have a hard time. So yes, absolutely, you can have people naturally do it, right? Rivera.
A year ago, I lost my job. And I kept trying to look for jobs for months and I sort of passed away to find a job. And then my brother and I ordered some online icon. I went to pick it up and I was talking to people there because they liked my tattoo. And he said, "Oh, I wish you had people here because then we could talk more." And I said, "Are you guys cool? You're at the job openings and looking for a job?" And he said, "Yes." And he told his manager personally.
That's a perfect Tao moment, right? So she's chilling, right? You're not forcing anything, you're open. And then the opportunity comes because you're open, boom, you fall into it, right? That's the idea. The idea is to cultivate this openness, right? And if we have too narrow agendas, so that's the first thing we have to do away with. That's the first trick, right? To aligning with the Tao is to do away with our personal agendas. Let us be open to our greater calling, our greater destiny. Let us realize that nature knows more than us what we should be and where we should go, right? Yes. So. You can plan, but you should be able to switch your plans, right? I know, right? We're alive, we're the same. Totally. I will plan like my day and someone will come in and basically, I call it ruin my plans, right? Even if it's fun, I'll be like, yeah, you just ruined my day. We had a great time, but you ruined my day, right? So I'm just the same. We have a really hard time, right? With it. So yeah, I think it's good to plan and sometimes the plans align perfectly, but we have to be flexible because sometimes they don't. And sometimes there's a better plan, right? And if we're too rigid, we're gonna miss the better plan. That's the end. Imagine if Rivera had a fixed plan that she was going to work as a whatever in a clothing store, right? And that's what she wants to do. And then this thing opens up. Do you think she would have taken it? No, right? And then maybe she would have missed the love of her life. And then maybe she would have, right? Rivera, I don't know. I don't know what happened to you in that restaurant. Right? But you see how sometimes it's a small thing, but actually something bigger is waiting for you there. And then you would miss it if you're too rigid. So I understand you completely. I empathize. I am the same. I have very rigid plans. And it's very hard sometimes to be open to that. Now, second thing that we have to learn to do is the opposite. Things disappear and she lets them go. All right, let's talk about that. What does that mean? And how do we so often, most of the time, not do that? Yes? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like she knows when to let go.
And why can't we do it? Why can't we let go?
Because it's hard. Sometimes so we have a plan, right? If there's now that's like only time that we achieve success. And because of that, it's very hard for us to let go. We got to success.
Yeah, and let me go a little deeper. Why it's so hard to let go? Is that the reason we're so, let's go to the root of being controlling, shall we? Right. The reason we are so controlling is that we feel fundamentally unsafe in the universe. That is the reason some of us, not all, thankfully some of you are graced, right? But most of us are so controlling is because we feel fundamentally unsafe in the universe. And so we can't let go because we're like, this is my safety. This is my you know, what do you call these boats when you get off the Titanic and trying to survive? Lifeboat. It's my life. It's my plan. Your plan becomes your lifeboat in the chaos of the universe, right? What the Tao Te Ching is saying is that the universe is fundamentally a safe place and that there is an intelligence carrying you through life. And that is what is so impossible for us to believe, right? But if we surrender to this, we'll get there, right? So the shift is very difficult because it's a profound existential shift where you move from feeling unsafe in the universe, therefore controlling, to be like, I am safe, I am carried. There is this intelligence moving me through life. And I can attest, you know, I can really attest to, I mean, I'm teaching this. I can't give you a mathematical proof, but from my, I'm halfway through life now. I can really attest that I have seen this at work, if not in the story I told you, right, about the music, where I'm, ramming my head against the, trying to get a music degree, and then letting go and realizing that life carried me easily to where I needed to go, quickly, right? As soon as I let go, I got there quickly, right? And it was exact. I have zero regrets about not doing music, right? Sometimes I listen to, a concerto and have a little pinch in my heart, right? But then most of the time I'm like, phew, I skipped it, right? So I can say from my vantage point, right? This is true, right? I have tested this wisdom, right? Yes, and then yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just like the idea of what you like everything you're talking about is like a lot of people when they are told to like let go of something, the first thing they think of is to like stop feeling what they currently feel about something. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that's how it works, especially if you like really care about something. It's just like you're never gonna stop feeling that, but you're gonna let go of the fact that you are dependent on this one thing.
Yes.
To make you feel the way you are.
I love that, what you're saying. Letting go is really sometimes a way to detox, right? We become too attached to things and we lose our freedom and we become clogged, right? The letting go allows for, and by the way, when you're too attached to that thing, sometimes it's a person, things become toxic between you. And the letting go can purify the air, right? It can be, let me add that and then I'll get some of your comments. I want to add something to this, right? Letting go is not the same as giving up. I want to be so clear about that. Letting go is not the same as giving up. Let me give you an example in the context of a relationship, any relationship. It can be romantic or with your siblings or your pet, whatever. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. What does that mean? It means that sometimes the relationship becomes toxic, right? You're fighting a lot. You're both, trying to control each other, right? You're both miserable because the other person's not doing what you need them to do, right? So you're both miserable, fighting. It gets very toxic. And sometimes, right, letting go can be for the sake of the relationship, right? I really believe in breaking up once. Every couple should break up once, right? Every marriage should have one big divorce, right? So that you can clear the air, right? And then, so this can be, so when you're letting go, it doesn't mean necessarily that you're working against the relationship or the project you have. It can mean actually, I'm allowing nature to take over. I'm allowing the Tao to flow and to guide this relationship, right? Instead of me, trying to fix it, I'm opening it up to this energy that can lead us somewhere, right? So in a way, you're allowing the flow of the universe to move you, to heal and move your relationship forward, rather than you trying to fix it by yourself with a hammer and a few nails, right? So that's the idea. So letting go sometimes is healthy for the sake of the relationship. It's healthy sometimes to be like, oh, I give up, right? I give up. Let's not see each other for 6 months, right? And then you see what happens. There's a purification, a cleansing, and then you can go to the first one. Things arise and she lets them come. And sometimes the thing that comes is the same person, right? So you want to allow that. You want to allow things to happen in your life rather than force things to happen in your life. And one of the ways you allow is in certain moments when things become toxic, sensing and following this intuition, I need to let go. Doesn't mean I'm giving up on you. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Means we have to let go. Just to, because things have become blocked. right? The letting go unblocks the thing, and then the flow is able to happen again, and the Tao is again able to lead. And like you were saying so beautifully last time, what is meant for you is yours. Ain't nothing gonna separate you if that person's meant for you, period, right? So it's again trusting the universe is something that is fundamentally almost impossible because we feel so unsafe in the universe, right? So it's that shift that needs to happen. Okay, yes, you had your hand up for a million years. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just trying to say that a lot of these are examples of people not really being open or they're not really being flexible, they're very rigid. Part of it being that they're afraid of change, they don't want change, they gotta keep their comfortability where it is. And eventually, rather than deal with those problems or trying to move on and deal with, they get so stuck on it that they want that specific thing back. So
Yeah,
again, it's not, they're being very rigid, so instead of allowing openness to come to
Yes,
they're
yes.
keeping it open.
And that leads us to the next book, and then I'll come to you. She has, but doesn't possess. If you want to truly have something, you can't go around trying to possess it. That's what this thing is saying. Let me say it again. If you want to truly have something in your life, if you want that thing to be truly in your life, to be truly yours, you cannot try to possess it. Anytime we get in this mode of I am controlling you, or I am controlling the relationship, or I am controlling this career path, or I am controlling my life here, we can't have, right? The best way for things to flow in our lives is to stop trying to force them to come to our lives, right? This is a paradox that if you want to have, let go. That's the key. If you want things to come to you, you have to move from the grasping position to the receptive letting go position. It's so hard because you surrender all control and you're at the mercy of the universe, right? This is why this is so hard. We don't want to do that, but this is the key for an abundant life. You can have a narrow life that works. Most people live like that. They have a narrow life, they have a little lifeboat, everything is good, keep everybody out, they're rowing, and they're doing great, right? But if you want the ocean, right, it's really up to you. If you want abundance, you have to shift that perspective from the universe is unsafe to the universe is safe. I can trust it. Therefore, I can receive and I can let go. I can, by the way, watch this. You receive, you let go. You receive, you let go. You see the flow? That's the flow, right? I don't block, I don't grasp, right? I receive and I let go. And I receive and I let go. There should be a nice Qigong gesture. I think there is. Let me see. There we go. There we go. It's an actual, right? I receive and I let go. I receive and we're going to do that next time, right? This is how you keep the Tao flowing through you. And this is how you get to your destination. But if you're over here blocking this, grasping this, how the Tao is going to flow through you? And you're going to get very sick. Right? Yes.
I would tend to argue though that sometimes it's necessary to like burn bridges and only have one option. Like the famous story where it's like famous general like burn down all the ships. So that they,
Yeah, this is the letting go, right? Sometimes life will say break up with this person or stop that job, right?
But doesn't that also like destroy other options? So
No, because the goal is to find your one path, right? Led by the Tao, right? So on the contrary, if you have many options, you go in zigzags. But so the key is to find that one destiny, right? So that means sometimes receiving and letting go of other destinies. By the way, I wanted to answer your question from last time. When do we know when is the time to let go, right? When do we know is the time to burn the bridges, right? I think there's a key indication. If you're in a relationship or if you're in a situation of a job or so forth, where you start to feel a blockage of energy, meaning you're angry or you're depressed, right? That is the indication something is not flowing, right? So anytime you're in a relationship, doesn't mean you give up on the thing, right? Doesn't mean, I'm not saying give up on the job or give up on the person. But as soon as you're feeling, I am feeling angry in this relationship chronically, or I am feeling depressed in this job chronically, that is the indication something has stopped flowing. At that moment, you have two decisions. You have two options. Either you've been doing nothing, and now it's time to act, right? So you want to create balance, right? So, or you're doing too much and it's time to rest, right? So again, for the sake of the job and for the sake of the relationship, right? I'm not one of those people who say, just give up as soon as things gets hard, right? It's not, remember, letting go is not giving up. Letting go is creating balance in the situation because you've been grasping too much, right? So if there's too much yang, too much grasping, right? You need to release. If there's too much passivity, release. You need to grasp, right? So I'll give you a couple examples. You're in a relationship and you're the type of person, you never say anything. You're hurting, you're angry, you don't say anything. And now you're so angry, you could kill the whole universe with a gun. Right? It's how people get like that, right? So what is needed there? Tell me. You have done nothing, you have said nothing. There is an imbalance, which is creating the emotions you have, right? There's a block. What is necessary there? What do you think? Yes. Take action. Whatever it is, can be the wrong action. Just take action, right? Because that then gets things moving, right? Take action, speak for the first time of your life. And maybe sometimes leave if you need to. Doesn't mean you've given up on the relationship. It means you've taken action. You've shaken things up, right? At that moment, balance is recreated. And at that moment, the Tao can begin to flow again. And at that moment, there's hope for your relationship, or not if that's not the one that you're meant to be in, right? So you see, now if you've been fighting for the relationship, really trying to make it work, going to 100 therapists, reading 10,000 books, you're trying to, and it still is not working, and you're feeling more and more frustrated. What's that step you should be taking? Yes, stop. Just rest, let go, see what happens. The person moving away from you, let them, right? Person is staying, okay, great, right? Allowing at that moment, right? So does that help a little bit, Lee, with knowing when, right? When to let go? The indication is your emotional life, right? The emotional life is going to tell you when there is a block, when there is an imbalance. At that moment, the key is to do the exact opposite action you have been doing, right? Clearly it's not working. So you take the exact opposite action, and this will simply, it's not you, by the way, it's not you going to solve this problem. I just want to make it very clear. You cannot solve this problem, but opening up the situation to the flow of the Tao is going to solve the problem, right? So all you're doing is creating balance. And at that moment, when there's balance, right? When there's unblock, the Tao begins to flow again. So that would be the indication, right? Yes, I saw a hand. Yes.
The only thing is, I wouldn't use the word chronically. I think it's in general good for couples to fight because whenever they stop playing, that just means they stop caring in general, right? I would say instead of chronically, if it's like very long term, just one emotion where it has like it's just staying in that emotion and it's not clearing to the next one.
Yeah, some people, if they're like us Mediterraneans, are fighting every day and making up every day and everything is fine. There's no emotions. You're Armenian, but you're Mediterranean too, right? So there's a culture like us, we're always like fighting, making up, fighting. But the emotions are pretty joyful, right? So it's when you have this thing that's pulling you down. That's an indication there is an emotional block and something must take place to open up to the Tao, not you fixing it, right? You can't fix it by letting go or by doing, but you can create the conditions of possibility for flow to occur again. The relationship there needs to be flow in the relationship again. And for that, you need to take the opposite action. That's what you have been doing. But this is such profound advice. I mean, if you guys remember these principles, you can apply them to anything. Your physical health, your mental health, your relational health, your professional life. You apply these principles. This is the key. This book is giving us the key to the universe to a certain degree. We are getting the key here to the functioning of the universe. And I think this is a very, very profound, right? Profound wisdom. Okay, we have 2 minutes. Last questions, comments, issues. Nothing. Yes.
I'm thinking about like all the examples you gave about like relationships, right? And it's like the idea of fixing it, right? It's, if you're doing it for only one person, let's say you, right? That's what you have control over. That no matter what you do, you can't fix it because it requires another person.
That's
and they need to find their own
yes. Whatever
balance of their life in order to create a harmony that works between people.
And I love what you're saying because it's talking about responding. What does the person need? Maybe they need space. Maybe you have to let them go. Maybe they need communication. Maybe you have to get them to speak, right? So you always try to be attuned. And that's another advice, right? What does the person need from you? And then you give them that. That is how you enter into the right action, right? And now you get back in the flow of Tao. So absolutely, one way to dealing with relational problems is fall back into acting without doing. And then you can begin to recreate that. Thank you, that was really helpful. Yeah, thanks.
I just wanted to agree with, like, I knew this couple where, they were trying for a really long time to make it work. And I remember one of the people in the relationship telling me, they said, every time I was trying, he wasn't, every time I was trying. And then we just realized that it wasn't
Okay.
good.
So it's not happy
you
ending.
need the other person to be trying, and then even when they were both trying, you're like, well, actually.
And again, right, the problem is they were both trying to make it work.
Yeah.
Just that expression is just, right? You can't make something work. You can allow something to work, right? And maybe that couple needed to start to allow, right? And maybe interesting things would have happened at that moment, right? Yeah. Just go ahead.
Were all the quotes you mentioned on page 2?
Yeah, they're all on page 2.
People say things that's pretty, I couldn't like write as fast as you were saying it.
The last passage?
When people see things that's pretty or something like that, or like.
Come on, I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay, guys, thank you. I will see you.
If you want something to work out, you're not really gonna, you're gonna really stuck there until you kind of realize.
Yeah.
Almost done.